Good morning. My name is Darrell Wertheim from the Veterans Voices from Faith United Methodist Church. I'm here to introduce a great gentleman. His name is Jim Cruz, and he works with Adopt a Platoon. Jim, welcome.
Thank you, Darrell.
Tell us a little bit about your group this morning.
Well, basically, we have been sending boxes and care packages, letters, and Christmas cards to our troops for the last 11 years. I started 11 years ago. I was driving to work, and I heard a lady by the name of Ida Haig on the radio, and she was talking about how her son, who was in Bosnia at the time, had said, "Mom," on a letter, that there's a lot of guys here, don't have families, don't get cards, don't get letters. Would you be willing to send stuff to the guys in the squad? And of course she said, yeah, I would be glad to. Well, that happened for a few months, and then the lieutenant in charge of the platoon found out about it, and he wrote her a letter and said, "Mrs. Haig, would you be willing to adopt the platoon?" And of course she said yes, so she got a bunch of Army mothers together, and they started sending to the platoon and actually to the whole unit. Well, when the unit came back from Bosnia, she got with the lieutenant and with the Department of Defense, and Adopt a Platoon basically, when troops are going into harm's way, there's a form that if they want us to send care packages or letters, that they fill out, and they give it to Adopt a Platoon, and then somebody like myself goes in on the Adopt a Platoon website, gives them my name, my what I'm married or not, where I live, so they can do a background check. They just don't want to send the things out to our troops and have a problem. So I got involved, and the first year, my first troop, I got to know them real well. We were sending boxes, and we were doing it out of my basement. And I got a lot of different donations from people. I had set a couple of boxes out, one in a bagel place and at different churches and that. And one night, I'm on the computer working, and I look at Yahoo Messenger, and I see his name pop up. So I said, is this you, Kyle? And he says, yeah, who's this? I says, this is the guy sending you boxes. So we got to start talking together on Yahoo Messenger, got to know each other real well. He came back from that deployment, and I got to know his wife and his kids, and I still keep in contact with the first troop. But since then, we've been sending to over 185 units and 85 chaplains, and that's where I quit counting because there's too much to count. But what we were doing is, and I remember, Darrell, basically when I was in the military, I was in Korea during the Vietnam era, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and how important it was to us. We didn't have our family there. You'd get up in the morning, and what's the first thing you think about? Family. You'd think about everybody getting around the Christmas tree,
Right.
and everybody passing out the gifts, and you had your buddies there, but it wasn't the same. You were thinking about home. And then at the meals, you'd be going to the mess hall or when you're out in the field, and you're thinking about, hey, everybody's back at home. And I really miss them. And I understand that the troops this time, because when we went through during that Vietnam era, it was tough on us there and when we came home. And I made a vow that if ever happened that we would go to war again, I would make sure that our troops did not go through some of the things that we went through. And one of the things that the troops, when they send me letters or this and that, they'll say, hey, it's nice to know that somebody back there supports us. That they want to say, hey, we know you're there and we appreciate your sacrifice. We do a lot of different things to promote that. Over the years, we send Christmas cards. We get people to sign Christmas cards. We've gone to different stores, different churches, anywhere where I can get somebody to sign a Christmas card, I'll do it. And the first year we got 400 signed Christmas cards. Last year we had 7,000 Christmas cards. I'm hoping to do better this year.
Great.
Now, usually we just send them over to the troops over in the Middle East and ships in the harm's way. But we have troops in Korea, and we've got 2 units from Arlington Heights, or 1 unit, I'm sorry, in Arlington Heights, who's right now at Gitmo, down in Cuba.
Okay.
We've got units in Jordan, we've got units in Kuwait, and we'll have plenty of cards to send those guys. But this year we're going to send some of the cards that we get to Heinz, to the veterans there who've done what we've done in the past and who earn some respect and to know that people care about what they're doing. I'm working with Congressman Congressman Dan Lipinski, and I'm trying to get a contact at Walter Reed and at Bethesda, so we can start sending cards to these people who are doing the rehab, who've made a sacrifice over these last many years. It's just something that I want to do, and I know the people with me want to do. I've got a good team. Most of them are veterans, a lot of seniors. Like I said before, the first year we were basically working out of my basement, and my wife got a little tired of all the stuff in the basement and she couldn't move around. And at my church they have a Holy Name Society, and they asked me to speak. So I came there and I told them, and I showed them the pictures and told what we were doing. And it just so happened that the mayor of Hickory Hills was there at the same time. And he says, "Hey, how would you like to have a couple of rooms in the Hickory Hills Community Center?" I said, "Well, that'd be great." So we filled those up over the years. Now he gave us a 3rd room so we could fill that up with stuff that we get. We've supported Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. We've supported sailors on the George H.W. Bush. We've supported 2 guided missile destroyers. We basically have been able to send our support, our love, and our care to thousands of troops. I get many letters, many emails, many Facebooks saying, "Hey, we appreciate what you're doing. We're glad that people care." We've had some different things that have happened. We had a lady Marine in Afghanistan, and she had said, "We've got the hospital here where the wounded come in right away." And she said, "Could you get some people to write letters to the wounded?" They said, "We'd probably pick them up." So we got about 100 letters, and we sent it over there. And I get this letter back from the Marine, and it really tore me up. He says, "Sir, I really appreciate the letter. I was wounded. I came in." Now, what the corpsmen would do when these wounded went into surgery, they would make their bed and slip one of the letters under the pillow. So he said, "I never thought that anybody that I'd never meet, would never know, cared enough to write me and tell me that they supported me." He says, "It was just like something my mother would do." We've had some phenomenal things have happened. I had a nurse in Iraq, in Baghdad, in the Green Zone, and we sent her a lot of different things, and she wrote me a letter. She says, "Sir, I hate to bother you," she says, "but I have to talk to somebody. We just had 28 mass casualties today. They came in the door, and the ones that we could talk to, we talked to them and held their hands, and the ones that we couldn't talk to, we just held their hands." That lady asked me for a karaoke machine, and we got it for them. They had a party for all the doctors and all the nurses, and we were able to help them with that. We've sent stuff to the canine units. We send biscuits and treats, and we had booties for the dogs. And you're gonna love this one. I sent it to the unit, and I get this letter back, and he says, "Sir, you don't understand. We had a dog that injured his feet, and we were praying that we could get some booties, and they came in the box that day. It's just been a phenomenal experience. I mean, other than raising my kids, it's probably the best thing that I've ever done. We are looking to get people to this trick or treat this Halloween. We had an organization that was giving us candy for 10 years, and unfortunately there was some kind of problem down south of the state, not our organization, and now we can't get the candy from them. We use the candy to stick in the boxes to, where there's spaces and that. It does two things. First of all, we get hard candy. It goes to our troops in the Middle East, where it gets to be 130, 140 degrees. Well, they pop the candy in their mouth, keeps their mouth wet. But what they also do, they pass it out to the kids. We also send Beanie Babies, and they pass these out to the kids. I had a unit, engineering unit, and you had told me you were in the engineers. I know a medic, but they said, sir, the villages here, they're terrible. He says the streets are muddy, there's feces in the street, and there's shrapnel all over. And all these kids don't have shoes. So we were able to send over 100 pairs of shoes. And they also had supported a orphanage there. And they sent me pictures of it. And you could see they had drawn a Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and every week they went over there to do something for them and spend time with the kids. We worked with a chaplain in Korea who had a congregation of special children, and we were able to send Christmas items for them, one for each of them. And it's just the things that happen. I mean, it's just I could basically go on forever, but just look for the support from the good people of this church. I guarantee you, whatever you do for us will not be wasted. I have a sign in my office, and it says, "No good deed, no matter how small, is ever wasted." And I thank you. Nobody ever did this for me when I was in Vietnam. And he walked away, and I said, well, okay. All of a sudden he walks back. He says, I can't do this to the guys and girls. So he signed a Christmas card. I mean, you see so many people that'll come there. Yeah, there's some that won't sign a card. I don't know. I mean, they've been hit up for so much stuff that they'll sit there and say,
people are skeptical.
Oh, sure they are.
To do something, yeah.
But, when you get the ones and they'll say, what do I sign? And I say, thank you always works. Mm-hmm. And then what they'll do is, it isn't thank you, it's like a one-page letter there, and people just want to make sure that the men and women over there understand how much they appreciate this, and they appreciate them.
Well, something that happened this week, I'll bring it up. We're having it's called a Family Fun Wednesday, where we have basketball, and we also have a cooking class for young kids, okay? And Pastor Caitlin the last night she's baking cookies, and they're all going to your room.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And the little kids are going to write little notes to the veterans with Christmas cards, and I think even our Sunday school's doing it. So the campaign, Diane, for November 17th is Christmas decorations, small things that could fit in a box, and also cookies in a tin, homemade cookies, and Christmas cards with notes inside. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's.
And if the kids want to draw Christmas cards or any kind of letters, I have people that say, they're never going to read these. And I sent that over there to these guys, and they said, we read every one of them, and then we tape them to our walls. Mm-hmm. Especially the ones from the kids, because nowadays, when they first started, it was a lot of younger guys who hadn't been married and that. Now these guys, like we had talked, 11 deployments. Guys have been there 5, 6, 7, 8 deployments. They've got kids that are, in some cases, are getting in high school and getting out of high school. So when you get a letter from a kid and you're a soldier, it's very important. It's like getting from your kid. And of course, we were all soldiers, so we know what cookies mean. Cookies,
yes.
Yeah. A lot of these are kids. And one of the things, too, is this is going to a lot of kids who don't have families, who don't get letters, don't get boxes. They tell me that when we have one person that we contact. Well, when they get the boxes, everybody gets around, and it's like a treasure hunt. And even if they don't take something out of the box, because we put a lot of different stuff, we don't put the same stuff in the boxes, put a lot of different stuff. They said, even if they don't take something, they want to get in there and see what's in there. Yeah, it's been a really moving experience.
That is awesome. That is a great ministry you have there, Jim.
And once a soldier, always a soldier.
Jim's right here in Hickory Hills too.
Oh, awesome.
So we're local here, and what I think is so special is that he has the direct contact with these groups overseas, the men and women in combat right now, and so it's really special.
One of the things too, anybody here who has family member or friend over in harm's way, let me know. We'll send them boxes. Doesn't cost them anything. I mean, we go to the Worth post office, and I've actually gone through 2 postal employees. They finally retired, but they see people come in who send boxes to the troops, and they had one who said, I don't know how I can do this. I can't afford this. So she says, I got a person that can do this for you. So we were able to send to her daughter the whole time she was over there, every month. And we do this every month. And that's been for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We talked to Jim a couple of weeks ago. Jerry and I were here. We had a meeting with him just to say hello and introduce ourselves. And he said something that I thought was amazing. He said he's been totally sponsored by donations himself, I'm sure, and other churches, his church.
Sertoma,
Kiwanis, and things. And he says every time he runs into a problem, because the packages cost a lot to mail, there's more than one. And the good Lord comes and provides another church or facility to help him. So
every time I start running out of either money or things, I'll just sit down there and say, okay, big guy, I really need some help. And it's unbelievable how the things happen. Something you never even, all of a sudden somebody will call me like Daryl and say, hey, we want to help you. And it happens a lot, believe me. I mean, it's easy to lose faith in mankind. But when you're doing something like this, you realize that God has put that divine torch into everybody, and it's in there. Sometimes it takes a little more to get some of it out of them, but for the most part, people are there to help. It's been very moving. I wish I had better words than that.
That's great.
Today, the Men of Faith are sponsoring the cooking the pancake breakfast for us this after service. All the proceeds, like I said, from a free will offering, and we'll have plates on each table, are going to go directly to adopt a Platoon. So we're excited about the new relationship, and we want to support him not only for this service, but also for the year coming on. So everybody give generously. All the proceeds go directly to adopt a Platoon.
Did you mention the Men of Faith the second time that they're helping?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it.
Yeah.
All right, good.
So, are you still filming?
It's still filming.
Okay. So, one story I thought that you told me, Jim, about the Beanie Babies, where the soldier returned.
Oh
back.
yeah.
I thought this story is.
Well, most of these troops are, we're out on outposts or which are way out, and they're hundreds of miles from a base camp. And we sent the Beanie Babies, and he got them in the box, and his 2 daughters were having their birthday. He had nothing to send them. So he took the 2 Beanie Babies, wrapped them up, sent them back to his daughters. When his daughters got them, the oldest daughter, it was her first day of school the next day. She took the Beanie Baby with her because she wanted her daddy with her when she went to school on the first day.
Wow.
Believe me, it's just...
Goosebumps.
I could keep you here all day telling stories.
Yeah.
But it's just... And these men and women, they are so good. They you never hear a word of complaint. I'm always sending, well, what else do you need? How about, oh, sir, we don't need this. Well, I said, well, how about if I send that? Oh, that'd be all right. You know, they don't want to be a drag on anybody. They like what you're doing, but they don't want to have, they're so independent, and it's not like they want to be dependent on anybody, but boy, when they get it, they are so appreciative of what people are doing for 'em.
Jim, I know you wanted to be here in person today, but I know
Yes.
you're speaking at your church in exactly
Right,
the
we're
same
signing
time and
Christmas
place.
cards there too. Yes.
So we appreciate you coming by video today, and we're excited about our new relationship, and Veterans Voices will be here to help you.
What I would do is, if any other time you would like me to come and speak, or come and meet with your parishioners, I would be glad to do it.
All right, thank
You
you.
know.
We'll take you up on that.
I can bring some, those books that I brought that had the
Your
letters and the
pictures.
pictures in there, and people can see for themselves what the soldiers have been saying, and sailors and Marines and airmen. You know, I haven't had a coastie yet, but I'm sure we'll get one.
We have we have a small, growing, active group here at Veterans Voices, and everybody participates in any way they can, and we have a mission statement, as you know. We want to help and do things, I think we're doing pretty well for first year out.
Yeah.
First year out, and
Well, again, I appreciate your help. Like I say, you will enjoy, if you come to the boxing, that you will enjoy it, I guarantee you. It's a lot of fun.
What's it called?
Well, we call it a box party, but it's care packages.
Okay.
The first time I said it, I put it in my church bulletin. Everybody's wondering, what are we going to do with fighting, you know? And I said, no.
well, they meet every third Tuesday of the month, and they
Yeah,
package
that's
and
what,
ship.
and we send out on Wednesday.
And they have, like I said, this next one is going to be for Christmas decorations, cookies, and cards, so they can get there in time for Christmas. Okay.
And if they want to send cash or check,
To make it out to St. Patricia's HNS.
Saint.
St. Patricia's HNS,
Okay.
Holy Name Society. They hold my funds for me that way, and anytime I buy something, I give them a receipt. So if anybody comes and says, "Well, where'd the money go?" Here it is. You know.
That's good. So continue talking.
Okay.
No problem with this. This is great.
You know, we were talking about the dogs. We sent one of those play toys over, and the guy that we sent it to, this was a different unit. He says they took it to the dog. The dog wouldn't even let him unwrap it before he started playing with it. We got pictures of it with the dog pulling on the chew toy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's been really.
Jim, one of the things, what does a box cost to mail?
We have two sizes of boxes. One is a regional C box, is $20.95,
Okay.
or $20.56. I'm sorry, and the APO boxes, which is smaller, but there's no. If I send the Type C, it has to be 25 pounds or less, and generally we keep it at 24. So if we're going to send a lot of good canned goods or that fruit or, you know, like we talk about stew or chili or that, then we use the APO boxes, which are $15.95. Now what we also do is we have the post office has something called media mail, and but we can only send CDs, DVDs, and books in that, no magazines or anything else, and that costs us about $7 to $8 a box, and the books are pretty heavy, so you know it's better to do it that way. Plus they take up a lot of space in the other stuff where you want to put candy or I was telling Daryl that we had a unit over in Afghanistan. They were way out, and they hadn't taken showers what they use is wet wipes for their showers, and they asked me for 2 of those rubber showers that you can use when you go camping. So we sent 2 of those to them, and you know, it's just how if we can make something a little better for them, you know, what's what price can you put on that?
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I understand you don't get any support from the government or anything like that.
No.
It's just
Like I say, the people at the post office have been really good to me. They've given me different ideas on how to send things, at the cheapest, but no, the government doesn't do anything. Well, let's face it, we were all, people ask me, well, all this stuff on the list, doesn't the government provide all that for the troops? Now, let me tell you, I tell them, you know what, it's just like any other job. You get paid at the end of the month, most of the time, and you're supposed to buy whatever you need. You get food, and you get a place to sleep, and you get ammunition for your weapon, but the rest of the stuff, that's up on you. So, the shaving cream, the shaving gear, and one of the things that we get a lot of requests for is those little sewing packets. Because, you're out in the field, you learn to sew real quick. But, we get a lot of the small bottles of shampoo and lotion from people who go to hotels and that, and it's better for them over there because it doesn't take up as much space. We get a lot of the big ones too, but we try to send those over to like Heinz or something because they take up so much space in the boxes. When we run low, we will send them. But like I say, we only run low for like a month, and all of a sudden something pops up and we're back in business again. Now, there's been times when I thought, well, I'm going to have to end this. I just don't have anything anymore, and all of a sudden, like I say, I just sit down and I ask for some help, and I get it.
Jim, you had mentioned something about some soldiers who never get anything because they don't have families, and especially on the holidays. So you want to,
yeah, it's when mail call comes around, and I don't know about you guys, but they used to throw it on our bunks. So, you would come back and there's nothing on your bunk. Well, you know what? You're lonely. It also means that nobody cares. That's one of the things that they really appreciate is knowing that somebody cares that they're alive and doing something besides their family. Because you get no good publicity. I had a soldier send me he says, how come you never hear about the good things we do? The hospitals we build, electricity, people never had electricity, running water to people, paving roads, cleaning out, building schools for kids and for girls. But you never hear about that. But you do make one soldier makes a mistake and you hear about everything. They need to know they're supported. They really do, because when you're sitting there and you don't know if anybody cares what you're doing at home, whether you live or die, it's not as easy to be able to do those things that you need to do.
Yeah, well, that situation should never happen again. That's
It shouldn't.
When I went there, it had been going on for 5 years already, so I already knew the situation. The demonstrations and all that.
I got spit on in San Francisco.
We weren't going there. We didn't feel we were going there in defense of our own country. We were going there because we were ordered to go, and we were just going to go and try to get back. That's all. That was all there was to it, and try to get as many of our buddies back.
Yeah, but the demonstrations and that. I mean, I came in at Travis and went over to San Francisco to go home, and I had some clowns spit on me in the San Francisco airport. And I had people who actually walked on the other side of the thing because I was in uniform. What kind of...
Well, I never experienced any of that.
Well,
but I
you're
think
lucky.
what you did experience was indifference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was just nothing said.
When I left...
Which was okay, I guess,
When I left, I couldn't pay for a bus. I couldn't pay for a cup of coffee because people were paying. When I came back, it was a different country. People were different. I've talked to many guys who said they got home, took their uniforms off, and wouldn't wear them because they didn't want people to treat them as if they were second-class citizens.
You wore it home. You had to have it on until you got home.
Well, no, but I meant when
And
you
then
come home on leave or something like that. Yeah.
You didn't wear it around. when you were.
Yeah, well, you had to if you wanted to fly.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's and I tell you, that's one of the things that I hear so much when I get the letters, is that they really appreciate the support. And it's more than just the candy and the stuff. It's the support that know that somebody back here cares about who they are, what they're doing, and everybody wants to know that they're needed.
Exactly.
And this way, they know that they're needed. Like I said, we supported over 185 units and over 85 chaplains, and I quit counting after that. So you can imagine, we've supported as a unit as small as a squad and as large as a regiment. I've supported the 3rd, the 7th, and the 5th Marine Regiments. I've got a letter from Commanding General of the Marine Corps thanking us for what we did. But that's not what we're doing it for. I mean, it's not, it's like, this is not because I want publicity. This is because I want to help these troops. You know, I love to be spending more time in my garden, but you know, this is important. This
You're
is
providing
important.
an invaluable service.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on it. Can't put a price on it. You were talking about the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that. You know, there are operations people are involved in where you don't even acknowledge the day.
Right.
You can't even, sometimes you'll see a video on the news, here's a company at base such and such, and you know, but they're the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember on Christmas Day we were out in the field, and we were in a bad area at that time. It was in the year I was over, that was probably the worst area we were in. We'd been there for about a month, and on Christmas Day, they sent a hot meal out to us. They did do that, okay, and then the chaplain came out and gave us a service that morning, you know, but. There's certain operations where life just goes on. You can't even acknowledge the fact.
Right. But you and I both know that maybe you don't, but you know when the holidays are coming up.
Well, you know what
and,
what the
and
date
you're
is.
sitting there,
You're
even
checking off those
even
dates.
yeah, you know, one of the things we send is calendars, because I remember being there checking
Yeah.
off the days till I went home. You know, so we send a lot of calendars. You know, the people that get them in the mail and that, and they throw them out. Hey, give them to us. We'll send them over there. You'd be surprised how many guys have little kitties on their wall, you know, but they're checking off the days in it. You know, it's
So I think we're going to have a box out there in our narthex, and so we can put items in there for you, so we'll
Okay.
deliver them to you. And also, we're hopefully going to have a lot of Christmas cards for you, with handwritten things inside for the troops, so we know that they're appreciated, and we can get them to them before the holidays.
that's important. That's very important. And I tell you what, if you get them after we send in November, take them, because then we'll send them in December. They may not get there by Christmas, but guess what? If they get there after Christmas, it's going to be just as appreciated as if they get it the day before Christmas. And we, during the year, at the Hickory Hills City Hall and the Community Center, at the Palos Hills, their community center, at the American Bagel over here on Harlem and Palos Heights, the city of Palos Heights and the community center of Palos Heights, and Bedford Park, we have baskets to ask people to sign cards during the year. We don't get a lot of them, but we get a steady flow, and we send them in the boxes each month so at least they know that it's not just Christmas where they're going to get people to sign cards. You know, it's we all forget that the holidays is when everybody thinks about giving, but those men and women are there 365 days during the year. And you know, we can't just say, okay, well, we sent our Christmas cards and we'll see you next year, because they're still there.
That's right. Jim, thanks for the good work. Veterans Voices are here to help, and I know our congregation at Faith United is also here to help. Today, after our service, we're having a pancake breakfast. Everybody's invited to attend. We'll be taking a free will offering. So everybody out there who's watched this video, donate freely and as much as you possibly can, because all the proceeds will go to your group for your good work. I know you have costs for mailings and things, and it's not funded by the government, just by good people that are willing to support you.
Yes.
So God bless you. You've done a great job, and you're continuing on, and I know we're going to continue to support. We're going to be with your group on November 17th, Tuesday, and they're going to be packaging items for Christmas. I think we have a campaign started that we're going to bake cookies in tins and also gather some Christmas items so we can send out to the troops. Thanks so much, Jim.
Thank you. God bless you all.